Welcome to this masterclass of Career Launch Wow Words of Wisdom. My name is Rajiv Bedse. I am your host for today's show. Now, CLA's purpose, Career Launch Australia's purpose behind creating this particular channel of Wow is simply to add value to professionals, so that they can enhance their career fast track, and also they can we will be able to share a lot of information with them by bringing the subject matter experts from various fields who will be sharing their own experiences, their wisdom, and their knowledge with all of you. Today, it's my great honor, privilege, and whatever you might want to call it. I am absolutely delighted to welcome legendary Des Walsh to Career Launch. Wow, Des, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, Rajiv, and all the better for seeing you.
It's wonderful to see you as well. How is Gold Coast?
It's very nice at the moment. Yes, we had like every a lot of people up here. We had a lot of rain a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
but the weather's really very pleasant at the moment.
So you are not affected by the rains at all?
No, no, even though we're very close to the Nerang River, the 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 buildings around here are built on a bit of a rise, so the we weren't affected, thank God. But
Right.
other people further up around Brisbane certainly, and then further down in the northern rivers, been quite badly affected. So we're very blessed.
Right. That's so good to know.
Mm.
So let me formally introduce Des. Des Walsh is a digital entrepreneur and next level coach. He has been actively engaged for over 20 years in promoting the business opportunities to the digital economy, and is a certified specialist in social media strategy and affiliate marketing. In his earlier life, Des was a senior executive with the Australian and New South Wales state governments. Over that time, he was responsible for a range of programs and projects across education, the arts, and cultural development and major events. Before starting on his coaching path, Dave established his own business as a communications consultant. An early adopter of the professional business network LinkedIn, Dez co-authored first book on LinkedIn, the best-selling LinkedIn for Recruiting, published in 2006. Since then, he has delivered many presentations on LinkedIn to business and professional groups, and he has coached a range of groups, companies, and individuals on how to make effective use of the LinkedIn platform. He lives with his wife Susie Cheel in Australia's Gold Coast in the state of Queensland. You must be extremely busy, Liz.
Yes.
It just makes me feel so happy, and I feel so obliged that you have taken so you know the most important thing in your life, which is time for this particular show. I cannot thank you enough.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I love helping people. And I know a lot of the people you work with are younger, and I love helping people to get on the right track, so to speak. There somebody on LinkedIn today said uh, ran a quiz. So how many LinkedIn coaches are there? And there were, we think that they number in their thousands. So um, it's important to try and how's the word? What's the right word? To use some judgment in where you get information, because some people um, use LinkedIn in a way that I think it doesn't. It's like they use it in a way that it wasn't designed for, and it doesn't work very well for. And I'm hoping to be able to share some um, some insight into how to use it effectively.
Beautiful. And that will be really very helpful for our clients, because one of the things that we say to our client, that why should you work with Career Launch Australia? Because they want to land their job quickly, and most importantly, they want to get paid what they are worth. So can
Yes.
you please explain to our viewers what is the significance of LinkedIn in landing your perfect job and getting paid what you're worth?
Okay. this could be a whole webinar on its own, in its own right, Rajiv. So
Yes,
I'll
yes,
endeavour to
I
be
understand that. Yes.
concise. So first of all, there was there's an old saying, that you fish where the fish are, the not where they're not. So
Yes.
the a lot of people don't understand this, but recruiters use LinkedIn, as you know.
Mhm.
Recruiters use LinkedIn to find the talent that they want, and potential employers. This and so that's a good reason to be there and to have a good presence there, an appropriate presence. And we can talk about that further. The second thing is that, and it's a professional network. Quite a few younger people, especially, but not exclusively younger people, do not um, take LinkedIn seriously. They
Mhm.
they dip their toe in the water, to use that analogy. They go in there, they look at it, and they think, oh, it's not as enjoyable as Facebook. It's not as enjoyable as Twitter or TikTok or any, and it's not built for that. You know,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
it's it's, it's like looking at a truck and saying, oh, this is not like my favorite um, sports car. It's a different sort of creature. So LinkedIn is designed for professionals to connect with one another. Over time, and from very early on, it became the kind of happy hunting ground for recruiters and for people looking for a job or looking for a promotion. One of the things that all recruiters know, but that a lot of people don't know, is that and this is really important, that to understand that LinkedIn works better as a long game, not just a short game. So that
Uh-huh.
uh, over time, if you have, if you build a good network and you have you update your profile regularly, that can be incredibly valuable because a lot of times recruiters are looking, and you know this, but recruiters are looking for what they call passive candidates. They're looking for
Uh-huh.
people who like their job, they like the people they work with, they like what they're getting paid, but they could be open to an approach from somebody who has something more exciting for them, better paid, more interesting, whatever it is. So if you only see LinkedIn as a way to get a job, and you get the job and you stop nurturing it,
Mhm.
it's like growing, having a garden, and you stop once you've picked some flowers. You don't look after it anymore. The next time you want flowers, there's nothing there. So, to use that analogy, so I like people to understand that this can be a very good way to build not just your opportunity to get an immediate job, but to help build your career and to be the person that recruiters come looking for, even when you're not looking for them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
we for that book, LinkedIn for Recruiting, my colleague Paul Vick in Dallas, Texas, who had a big reputation as a headhunter, he used to explain things to me that a recruiter may be looking, especially in specialized fields where people have special skills in some area with software development, for instance, that they will search on LinkedIn, and then they they might contact someone and say, not they might not contact someone and say, are you looking for a new job? Because sometimes they'll be told no. But what they'll say is, I see that you're working in this particular field. We're looking for someone with these sort of skills. Do you know anybody who would qualify? And what will happen sometimes is the person say, who who's secretly hoping for something better to come along, will say, "Oh, tell me more about it," because they think, "Oh, maybe this could be something for me." So this is a something that most LinkedIn coaches won't tell you because it's not so much a secret, but it's something that recruiters understand, but a lot of LinkedIn coaches don't quite understand. So
All
it's a
right.
good, it's an important place for you to be, and it's important um, in terms of getting the this is a bit more subtle. Getting the kind of salary, the kind of payment that you feel you're worthy of, is first of all feeling worthy of it, so that you make sure that your profile tells your story. It isn't just a list of things that you've done. It tells your story in a way that's going to impress people. I'll give you one little example. With
Yes.
a with a LinkedIn profile, people will often have a list of places they've worked, and they just put the company name and they put their title they had there, and they worked from this time to that time. They don't tell you anything. They can tell a small story there. They can talk about what they did, what the challenges were, so that I really encourage people to see um, a LinkedIn profile as a way to tell their story, not just to list their credentials. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, for instance, I might say I had a position with the Australian government, and it was. I might spell this out. If this is a long time ago, but just say I was using that as an example. One of my under the experience section, I might say that I had a responsibility to promote um, decision making in school communities, and I found a lot of opposition. I might explain that there was a lot of opposition from entrenched bureaucracies in the education field. And part of my
Mhm.
challenge was to use some diplomacy and some persistence in getting through that opposition. That's much, much more valuable to a potential recruiter than I worked for the Australian Schools Commission for 2 years. Am I making sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So if I can read the one thing I would really love people to take away from this is tell stories, don't do shopping lists. So many LinkedIn profiles are shopping lists. I have the following certification
Yes.
skills. I worked in these places, and that is potentially boring, but it's not enlightening. And now
You
getting the salary you want is you're negotiating a salary, and they say, oh well, we only pay people this amount with your skills. And you say, have you looked at my profile? And they say, why? What are you saying? I say, I've had higher level skills than you're talking about. I've I've been trained to step up and take more responsibility. I want you to recognize that and make me a better offer. But if you don't have that story in your LinkedIn profile, they can only take your word for it. And the next thing is to have recommendations from other people. And even if people are young and only starting out, get a recommendation from your professor before you leave the university. Get a recommendation from fellow students that you not only um, got good results in exams, but you're a good team player. You're good at solving problems, whatever it is. So it's a brilliant opportunity. And if you have a free account, you can do all this without paying any money. You can just tell a story and then run that story past someone you trust, respect,
Mhm.
who respects you, and say, "Is this? Does this tell you my story?" And they'll say, "You left out this, you left out that. Why don't you put that in?" So now you're becoming a living human being, not just a profile on a page.
Now, just quickly, is Susie watching this live as well?
No, she's not now. No, she's gone.
She's not. Okay. Because I just got a feedback from somebody saying that they're not able to see this on YouTube, but at the same time, I'm getting
Oh,
feedback from
oh,
Facebook viewers that they are able to see it. So
okay.
I'm not exactly sure what's happening there.
No,
Because
I'm not familiar with StreamYard, so I can't help
yes, yes. But we got a very nice comment from somebody.
there.
Siddhant, thanks for ordering an amazing session again. Looking forward to learn more of your wisdom.
That's
That's a
great.
wonderful
Thanks, Siddharth.
compliment.
Yes.
We also
Have I,
have
have I covered those questions adequately?
yes, absolutely, and we will
Okay.
go. We will dig deep into it further.
Yeah.
Um, Mandeep is saying, Rajiv sir and Des Walsh, it's great to see you on the show. Nice
And it's
seeing
good
you
to
as
be here.
well, Mandeep.
It's
So
good to be here. Yeah.
thank you very much. So if I have to list three reasons for using LinkedIn, if I was to say, Des,
Mm.
give me three reasons why somebody should use LinkedIn,
Um,
what would you say?
the first reason is that um, this is where this is one of the places people will either look for you or check up on you. And even when you have the ideal position that you like, you're working with a company you respect and enjoy, you're being paid well, you're sent to a meeting with another company. Before you get there, there is a high probability, or at least a high possibility, that people will check your Facebook profile to see who's coming to the meeting. And you should have checked theirs too.
Oh,
So try never to walk into a business meeting without finding out something about the people you're going to be meeting with. And if they haven't got a LinkedIn profile, that's a problem. But if they have, you can find out. For instance, you may love cricket, and you find out that that's one of their great interests, and you can come in and make a comment about cricket. It's about building rapport. So that's one reason, is that people are either going to look for, they've heard about you, they look for you on LinkedIn. They might look for you on Facebook, so you need to be careful what you've got there. But your professional profile will be on LinkedIn, and it needs to be good, and we can talk about that. The second thing is taking the long view. Get used to using LinkedIn, because that is where you will find out about the people you may want to work for or the people you may want to work with, and you'll find out what their interests are, where they live, those sorts of things. So another reason is this might not be obvious to some people. Another reason is the exercise of writing what they call the about section,
hmm,
which used to be called the summary, and writing those texts in for your experiences and getting recommendations, and I will talk about that. That is a very good that will be better than going to some coach and saying, help me tell my story, because working it out for yourself is a first draft, and then you can get someone else to help you with, and get you, for instance, Rajiv, to look through that and say, you're not telling a good enough story. You've got more skill than that. Oh, so go away and do a bit more. Be the professor. So that is I find even today, after all these years, I frequently rewrite my about section. I frequently rewrite sections, and I realize today I need to get some more up-to-date recommendations. So recommendations can make a big difference to whether you get the job or not, whether you get the promotion or not. And
so
a
a
lot of
couple
people
of
never
things.
have.
Yeah, sorry. A couple of things with the recommendations. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, typically, how many recommendations you think experienced professionals should have? I mean, with the fresh graduates, they may not have as many recommendations,
No,
but
no.
with the experienced professionals who come from overseas, is there any ballpark figure that they should be looking at?
There isn't a ballpark figure, but I would say that if people, I have this is off the top of my head, Rajiv, a minimum 10. And
Okay.
if minimum 10, I would go for 20. Um, and if someone writes a recommendation you don't like, you've got two options. One is to go back to them and say, hey, how do you think this is going to help me get a good job? Oh, what do you mean? Well, you didn't mention this, this, and this. Now, that could be very delicate and difficult. And the other one is just hide it. Just hide it. Get another one from someone else. Someone else will do a better job. Um, the, this is my formula for getting great recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
This one thing I say not to do is what some LinkedIn coaches will tell you to do, is to write your own recommendation and ask someone else to send it to you, because
Mm-hmm.
that's just so phony. But and it will show. So to get a great recommendation, what I do, say you want to recommend, say a recent graduate wants a recommendation from a professor that they respect and like from the
Mm-hmm.
university, and the professor's got a profile on LinkedIn. Doesn't always happen, but say the professor has a profile on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
and without being sycophantic, the student can write to the professor and say, or speak to them after a lecture or a seminar or something, and say, I'm building my LinkedIn profile, and I've been told I should be giving other people recommendations. Can I give you like a testimonial for what you've been able to do for me? And the professor will usually say yes, or no problem. And you can say, you can always cancel it if you don't want it, but I'd like to send you something. What would you like me to say? And the professor will say, oh, maybe you could say that I've always tried to help my students. I don't know. So you write a recommendation for what the professor would like to hear, and then a few weeks later you say, "Well, I'm still working on my LinkedIn profile. Would you feel happy to give me a recommendation, just a testimonial in LinkedIn?" And if they don't worry, because I've got a number of requests out there from people I have been asked to give recommendations to, and I've given them, and they don't reply to my requests. So just recognize there will be a bit of no answer, because some people don't know what to do. But the basic strategy, whether it's a professor or someone you've worked with, one of your fellow students, possibly, as I said, you can say, I would like to give you a recommendation. What would you like me to say about you? Or what would you like me
Mhm.
to emphasize of your skills from what I know about you? And they say, well, you can say that I have very good analytical skills. So you write the recommendation, say it's great. And if you can say it honestly, you can say great analytical skills and, top the class and so on. And then you say, you don't have to give me one in return, but I'd love it if you could. How do you feel about that? And they say, yeah, sure. And you say, can you just mention these couple of things that I'm trying to emphasize in my profile? And if
Mhm.
they're friends and if they're good colleagues, they'll say yes. I have received the most amazing testimonials from doing just that, Rajiv. Things
Wow.
that I could not have written about myself,
Wow.
not have done about myself, because I said, this is what I'm doing, this is my current career trajectory. Can you say something about that? And a lot of people like to do good in the world, don't they? They like to help others. And a lot of,
You
and
know, the
yeah,
best point you put forward here, Des, is that your skill set and their recommendations have to align very well. And when they are in alignment,
yes,
that is what people will see, and they will go, "Oh yeah, this
yeah,
is what he has, and this is what people have recommended him for,"
yeah, yeah,
which means that is the kind
exactly.
of endorsement.
And I'll tell you, I just remembered there's one occasion where where somebody had been wanting me to coach them with LinkedIn, and and I had discussions about, and he wanted a big job done because he wanted me to really put a lot of work in on him. So it was going to cost a couple of $1,000s, as I recall, because he wanted a lot done. And uh, and we met for a coffee, and I thought this is not going anywhere, and because he'd asked me questions, and I'd come back, and I said, so can I ask you, do you actually want to proceed with this? And he said, yeah, sure. And I said, oh, so what helped you make up your mind? He said, your recommendations. So that was worth thousands of dollars to me.
Wow.
There
You
was no,
you made a great point earlier.
mm,
I know that we are talking about LinkedIn, but you made a
mm,
great point that when people look at your application, when people look at your resume,
mm.
you said sometimes they look at your Facebook as well.
Sometimes, yes,
Wow.
or Twitter. I really recommend for younger people when they're setting out on a career in business
Mm.
to probably go back through their Facebook or their TikTok or whatever, and maybe hide some things, because there was that late night they were out and with a boisterous crowd, and maybe they don't
Yes.
want the recruiter to see that.
Wow. It's such an incredible piece of advice because most people do not even think about it.
They don't.
And most people think that Facebook is a social media, it's a social platform.
Yeah.
But
Why
guess
would a
what?
recruiter be looking at it? Well, they want to get the big picture,
Yeah. Because they
especially if
want to
it's
know that you are not only professionally fit, but as a human being, you are also fit for the job as a human
yes,
being.
yes,
You
yeah,
know, they want to make sure that you are not engaging yourself in any so to say unwanted activities.
yeah. And we've all probably done things when we were younger that we're maybe not so proud of, but don't leave it there.
Wow, that's a great piece of advice. So,
Yes,
talking about creating the LinkedIn profile, do
yes.
you think that people should follow any particular structure
Well,
for creating the LinkedIn profile?
there's different approaches to this. One is, and it's probably good, especially any clients of yours, to talk to you about this, because some recruiters look for certain for a particular position. We'll look for certain qualifications, and it may be important to if you're on a particular career path and you know that these qualifications are regarded as very important, to make sure they're in there, and and maybe use them more than once in your about section and then in experience section. Now, one
Mm-hmm.
little word for people who haven't had a job, like a professional position, they've just come straight from, say, university. A lot of people who've gone through university have done something part-time. They've done some community work. They've worked in a shop or something along the way to help pay their fees. Put that in, because it's called experience. It's not called positions. And
Mm-hmm.
a recruiter can recruit. Two people come out of the same university. One of them has had wealthy parents and hasn't done a day's work in their life, and they've just studied and got their degree. And the other one, maybe not so well off, has worked hard and has done a weekend job, or they've gone out and worked in a community centre and helped people. As a recruiter, as someone hiring people, so the hirer rather than the recruiting agent, I might say, "Oh, I like the idea of this person who's actually done something for the community. I like the idea of somebody who's got a work ethic." And
Mm-hmm.
on if their qualifications otherwise are equal, I might go with that one. So don't leave that out. That's all I'm saying. As you go on, you probably focus on the professional experience and not so much on those other things. But also in interests, put in interests, because somebody who uh, likes hockey, I don't know anything about hockey, but somebody who likes hockey, and they see hockey in your interests, you've got a point of connection there. So so with the profile, first thing, a professional. They say a professional photograph. The photograph can be amateur, but it shouldn't look amateurish. And what I recommend people don't have is one of what I call a mug shot, one of those pictures that looks like it's been taken at the police station,
Mm-hmm.
looking as if you've just been arrested. And
Yes,
unfortunately,
yes.
some people put those pictures up. But it can be a lot of people have friends who've got fancy cameras and who like to fancy themselves as photographers. So if you've got a friend, a cousin, a brother, sister who's got a nice camera and they like taking photographs, say, will you do a little photo shoot for me and get a couple of shots that I can use on my LinkedIn profile? And otherwise, you might have to pay someone to do it. But it doesn't have to be like $1,000 picture or something. It can be
Mm-hmm.
something that just makes you look like you can be trusted in a professional job. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
The other
And
thing that yeah, go
yes,
on.
sorry, go ahead. No,
Well,
go on.
the other thing and I know, Rajiv, but a lot of people looking for positions don't know, is that interviewing committees, the thing that is usually not mentioned, but is a kind of understood thing from all the interviewing sessions I've been on, is we would like to recruit someone we think we can work with. We would
Mm-hmm.
like to have someone we think will fit with the team. And um, your photograph can tell them whether you look like someone they think they could work with, or are
Yes.
you so tense that they're not sure about that. So then, sorry, you were going to ask something or say something.
No, I was just going to say that, typically with photo, I have seen that with the fresh graduates, they put the photo, when they got the degree and, that
Yes,
the particular,
yes,
the convocation ceremony, they
yes,
put that photo
yes,
on their LinkedIn profile.
yes,
Now,
yes.
there is nothing wrong with that. I
No,
mean, they
yeah,
are very proud of that.
yeah,
But the only problem I see with that is that when somebody looks at that photo, what is he going to think? He's going to think that this person is a fresh graduate, which
yes,
means he doesn't have local experience, which
yes,
means he possibly may not have the full ongoing work rights,
yes.
which means that he may not even be able to blend in the
That's
company
right.
culture or in the community.
That's right.
So one piece of advice I give to my clients who are fresh graduates is take that photo away, put a
Yes,
nice photo there,
Yeah.
And typically, what I say to my clients is when you take a photo, you don't have to, like you said, it doesn't have to be $1,000 photograph,
No.
but at least make sure that you take a photo on, the gray background, or even
Yeah.
if the background is, let's say, for example, light yellow, doesn't matter. There are a lot of softwares available these days where
Yeah.
you can actually make the background gray or white, whatever you want,
Yes. Yes.
and be presentable, look like a professional.
Yeah.
Wear a nice suit and tie. If you don't have
Yes.
suit,
Yes.
I say to fresh graduates, you borrow a suit from
Yes.
somebody. Make sure
Exactly.
you wear a tie. Look
Yes.
very
Yes.
fresh and nice. Why
Yes.
would people give a job to somebody who looks shabby in the
Yeah.
photo itself, when this person is looking for a job worth 80 grand or 100 grand?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me to look that shabby. Many times I've seen that people have the photos with the some scenic background, and when they
Yeah.
are when they visit, let's say for example, Great Ocean Road, there is some
And
scenery behind them, and
yeah.
that to me is not acceptable.
No.
Your views on that?
Absolutely. And on every point, you're right. And I would say to somebody, make sure the photograph is something when your mother looks at it, she'll be proud of you.
Absolutely.
Because she'll say, that's my daughter, that's my son, and they're going out into the big world and they look professional already. And if your mother says, that's a terrible photo, get another one.
Wow.
But that's just my folksy kind of way of putting it, Rajiv. But I'm trying to bring it down to earth. And don't have a picture with your mother, much as you love her, or
Yes.
your best friend, or your dog, or your cat. People do this on their LinkedIn profile. They have two people, and which is the one I'm talking to? They get a photo with their best friend. No, you're the one uh, going to the market and saying, I am a professional, hire me, or at least talk to me and decide whether you're going to hire me. And that and then and don't have people get a picture of themselves taken on a bike, on the other side of the road, or on a boat, because they think it makes them look rich being on a boat. You can't see who the person is. It's a headshot. It's a professional headshot, to use the photographer's jargon. And
Yes.
then the next thing is your professional headline, which comes underneath your photo and name. Now, one of the reasons for that is the first, if you have a LinkedIn profile, search on your name on Google, and when your LinkedIn profile comes up, look at what you see. You see your name, your position, probably, maybe your location, and then your professional headline. Now, what people put in there is sales executive, or um, uh, mechanical engineer, or whatever it happens to be. You can actually put some of your story in there. You can say what you do. You know, um, I'm on a mission to make sure that all the bridges that get built in future are ones that can't fall down, because I am a proud civil engineer.
Hmm.
And that will. Oh wow, we've got somebody here who's got some imagination. They've got a vision. Don't just have a title. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I know people will find it uncomfortable to do that. They'll think, do we want to do that? And what you can do, if you really then want to be um, adventurous, is to say, um, see my story in the featured section below. Now, if you look at my profile at the moment, I've got a video I'm not very happy with. It's okay. In my featured section, I've got rid of everything else, and I just have this one video, and I lead from the profile to that video, and that tells you what I'm really doing. I've just made another one today, which I'm going to replace it with. But that is another thing. Video is how we learn these days so much. So if you
Hmm.
have get a friend to video you saying, "I'm so excited, I'm ready to take on new responsibilities," and whatever your story is and what your vision is. You know, people want to know that someone has some vision of their future, what they're going to contribute to the world or to a company they work for. I'm ready to give 100% to the next company I'm working with, and be ready to do that, of course. So that might seem very hard for people at times, but maybe store that little idea away and use it at another time. not try to overdo everything at once. And then your about section should be in the first person. So many people write, you know, Des Walsh is such a third person. I'm talking about myself. Why am I talking about myself
Yes,
third person?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so many people do it, as if you know. And yet, so who is this person? Who is that standing next to me? And
And it's
don't
always
yeah,
it's always doing the hard things. I mean,
yeah,
I it just blows my mind to see how people take these shortcuts and
yes,
try to do the thing the easy way. I mean, putting
yes,
your photo. I was talking to one of the clients, and I said, you need to change your photo,
mm,
and I said, you need to wear a tie.
yeah,
And he said, "Are you serious?" I said, I am absolutely
absolutely,
serious.
yes,
I am 120% serious." And
yes,
he's like, "Well, I have never used a tie in my entire life." I said, "That is exactly why now you should start
yeah,
using the tie,
yes,
because you don't want people to think that you are somebody who is taking other people for granted
yeah,
when you are looking for a job worth 150K plus."
yes. That's
I
right,
mean, it doesn't make
absolutely.
any sense to me. And
No,
you hit the nail on the head, because when you write something about yourself, not only that you are giving them a message, but it also means that you are absolutely passionate about doing what you do. It
yeah,
means that you love to do what you're doing in
yes.
that particular role.
And if I were writing, say I'm wanting, I've got a couple of brothers who are civil engineers. So I was writing something. Say it was one of them who was writing a LinkedIn profile. I would start by saying, um, uh, I I have something like this. Um, I am so passionate about the field I work in of civil engineering because uh, of how what an incredible service this profession provides to the community. Bridges stay up, roads stay without too many potholes. People get from one place to another without too much stress. Trains run hopefully on time. All of these things that engineers do, and I am so excited about this. And I'm ready now to take on a responsible position where I can use the skills that I've learned and the knowledge that I've learned and continue to learn from other people who share my passion. Now, a small firm of civil engineers is going to say, that's the person we want. Someone who's got some passion and some vision about what they're doing.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
but if you just say, um, uh, Sanjeev is a really nice person and he did very well at university, well, there's several million out there that could meet that. Really.
Absolutely.
Be the
Absolutely.
one who stands out. Be the
Yes.
one who's different. That takes some
Yes.
daring. But it's not about exaggerating. It's about having something from the heart, because that's why let's go back to, we want to work with people we respect and we like being with them because they make us feel better.
it's 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 so commonsensical that when you want a job, you got to show to people
Yeah. Yeah.
that there is something different and something
Yeah.
unique in you.
Yes.
You got to give them the reasons why
Yeah.
people should even hire you. and
Mm.
and and this is even more true, particularly when people come from overseas to a
Oh,
country like
sure.
Australia. I mean, when I joined the workforce, before coming to Australia, I had worked in India for 20 years.
Mm.
But I knew my own limitations. I knew that I will never be able to speak the Australian accent.
No.
I'd never used Australian slangs,
No.
but that never stopped me from progressing in my life,
Oh,
because
sure.
I
Sure.
gave people the reasons as to why they should hire me.
Yes.
And it's not a rocket science.
No.
You are competing with Australians in Australia.
Yeah.
Even if you have the talent, let people know that you have the talent. Give
Yes.
them the reason to believe that you have the talent.
Yeah.
And that is the one very strong way you can do it through, is obviously LinkedIn.
And it's okay to say you're open to learning more,
Yes.
because we don't want we don't want to hire people who've got closed minds. I see my this career is I'm just so excited about my career and my ability to learn more with the right company, you know. So there's just a few little clues that people can use, and then the recommendations. Start to build some recommendations, and I'm happy if anybody uh, doesn't understand that to send me a message afterwards, and I can explain that further.
Look, honestly speaking, if people do not trust what you're saying, if somebody like you who has been, and I treat you as a legend in this field, you have been in the field for so long,
Yeah.
and still you are open to learning new skills.
No, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
if people don't understand the concept of being open to new learning, then I don't know where else they are going to learn it from.
What I've got here is some. You tell me if you want to immediately go to another question, but I wanted to share something that there are some basic mistakes people make, and
Yes,
there's some do's and don'ts. So I'm going to
yes,
start with the things not to do, which are
yes,
very common. And
yes.
these are, and I built this on the basis of something that a colleague of mine provided, so I'm acknowledging that. Uh, Making cold contact, direct people who send me a connection request and
Hmm.
say, "Will you hire me?" Or "Will you buy my program?" Whatever. That usually gets an ignore result from people. Mass invitations to connect with no effort to personalize or give context. Posting irrelevant content just for the sake of posting something. Um, uh, Posting but never sharing or commenting on content your network posts. Posting
Hmm.
multiple times a day, and this is very interesting, and responding to comments with generic stock phrases. So not that's some of the mistakes people made. The one about multiple times a day, this is a very interesting, like LinkedIn, like Facebook, like all these platforms, has an algorithm that governs how they deal with people's engagement.
Yes.
The link, as far as we know, it's very hard to find out about the LinkedIn algorithm. So I go to people who do know about it and do a lot of testing. As far as we know, LinkedIn doesn't really want you to post more than about 20 times a month. So it's a 2 or 3 times a week, two
Hmm.
or three times a week. It's not a big deal to write something. Now, it can be something that someone studied. It can be an experience they had with a company without necessarily mentioning another company. But one of the things they learnt about their profession, about their industry, or look something up in a journal and do your own commentary on it. I read this. I read an interesting article in this journal, and then make do just a couple of paragraphs. You only need to do that a couple of times a week, and the best days are Tuesday to Thursday.
Mm.
So then these are the you do need to post something, not just leave your profile sitting there. You need to put something. It's like LinkedIn, you post stuff. Facebook, you post things. LinkedIn, you post things. And they used to be called updates. They're now called posts, I think. And don't expect a lot of reaction straight away, but gradually people will get to want to see what you post, and then possibly more importantly, LinkedIn will see that you are posting and show what you're doing to more people. You'll get better known.
So can I ask you one thing
Yes.
then? Let's say, for example, I'm a fresh graduate.
Yes.
You are saying that I should be posting on LinkedIn at least 2 to 3 times a week.
You've just spent whatever it is, 3, 4, 5, 6 years imbibing an enormous amount of knowledge from, we say the expression, we stand on the shoulders of giants, from
Hmm.
generations of people who've built that body of knowledge and has been communicated to you through your professors, through seminars. Why haven't you got anything to share?
Oh, wow.
Why can't you share
Wow.
something?
Absolutely.
The world needs your understanding of what you've learned. And what you can do is get a discussion. If you're unsure whether you really understand something, you say, I studied this in university and I'm fascinated by it. I'm not sure I fully understand it. I'd love somebody who knows this field to share what they know about it. You will get a discussion going. And that's what will really help you with the algorithm. But you've got
You
to
know,
be
one
humble.
piece of,
I
so
was going to
sorry.
say, you have to be humble enough to be willing to learn more. You don't know it all. I know this. You know that when you leave university, you don't know it all. You know a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, go on.
One piece of advice I give to my clients is I say to them that whenever, um, and I'm kind of culprit to this as well. I don't post as much as I
Mm,
should be. And this is a great learning for me, this particular session, that I should start writing even more. But one of the piece of advice I give to my clients is whenever I post something, I say to them, don't simply like it, don't simply respond by saying that you have read it, but actually make sure that you post a comment on that.
yes,
And
yes,
what that will do to you is all the people in my network, maybe 4,000, 5,000, they
yes,
all will get notified
yes,
that XYZ has commented on Rajiv Bedse's post. And that way it becomes an indirect kind of networking for you, and
yes.
people will start knowing that you even exist in Australia
Sure.
or anywhere in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really nailed it. And and the comment, as you're right, an intelligent comment. I see comments where someone says, and they hire virtual assistants who do this for them, and what they get is, oh, great post. What does great post mean? It means, um, uh, uh, instead of someone saying thank you, I never realized how important that particular area of knowledge was. And having read your post, I'm now going to go and read up more about that. That is an intelligent comment.
Yes.
Or a question. I didn't quite understand the second point you made. Could you
Hmm.
spell that out? So that's engaging in conversation. And uh, if imagine you're sitting down with a group of people who might employ you, and if all you did through a whole $120,000 job, they say, hey, we want you to come and have lunch with us because they want to find out what you really like, and you come
Hmm.
and have lunch and you sit there and they say, did you enjoy your university? Yes. uh, um, uh, how do you like Australia? Great. No, I actually had a hard time at university because, I mightn't have been the brightest uh, person in the class, but I had to work and I had to study hard. That's an answer. How do you like Australia? Haven't been here long enough. I wouldn't dare to comment.
Great point. Absolutely incredible point.
So,
These are these are the golden nuggets. I mean, there is so many things people can take away from this session. The
mm,
people who are watching right now and the people who will be watching this video later on.
yeah,
I mean, this will tremendously help everybody to build a
yes,
very strong LinkedIn profile.
yeah, yeah,
Now, let's move on to the next segment,
yes,
kind of,
yeah,
which is networking.
yes,
Why
network.
is it important to connect with professionals on LinkedIn?
Um, somebody said your network is your net worth.
Mm-mm.
That
Remember that?
you
Yes.
you are as good as your network in terms of professional career and business career. So
Yes.
um, it's because uh, it's it's because you know first of all, we're social beings, so it's good to connect with people that share something with us. Um, I I wanted to speak in a moment about search, but so it's really important to build our network, just as it can mean the difference between whether we get taken seriously for a position or not. Because if people look at your say it's in a particular field, and they look at your profile and you see you must always have at least that 500 plus people in your network. LinkedIn doesn't share anymore whether it's 10,000 or
Mm.
5,501, but it says 500 plus. So work
Yes.
on building up your network so at least it's over that 500 number, because that's professional. 200 is not professional. 150 is not professional in the eyes of the people looking at it. And people
Hmm.
make quick judgments. So you need a network, and when you have a network, you can uh, find more positions. You can be seen more. Um, and you can be seen by people you never even knew were looking for someone like you. And I'll
Uh-huh.
just give you an example of how networks help. I was in a senior position working for the federal government, and for personal family reasons, I wanted to move from the national capital to Sydney. And I rang up someone I knew from my network who was a senior person in the state government. And I said, I'm looking for a new job and I probably need to ask a few people, are there any positions at my level going in New South Wales? She was an assistant director in the Department of the Premier and Cabinet. And she said, how would you like my job? And I said, oh, she said, because I'm moving. So I went for the interview and I got that position.
Oh, wow.
So that's a,
Incredible.
you know, and that's the way the world works, Rajiv. It doesn't always work on paper. Sometimes it works on the phone call. Um, and
Yeah.
if you've got the network and you can put it out there that you're looking for a new role, or that you just observe what's going on, you're starting to work it with your network. You're starting to see what the people in your network are doing, and you can see that um, there are particular challenges in one industry. You're watching people's posts. And then when you go into your interview and they say, what do you know about this industry? You say, well, I'm new to that. I've worked in this petroleum industry, or I've worked in heavy engineering or whatever. But what I've been reading lately tells me your industry has some challenges in this field. And I'd love to be
Mhm.
able to work on those. And that will stand you aside from all the other applicants.
Yes.
No one will start that conversation other than you, because you have a network and because you're plugged in to what's going on. You know what the issues are.
Yes.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes. And that's the only way you can become a unicorn, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I
And
distinctly remember.
yeah, yeah, go on.
Yeah, there's a great saying. There's a great quote by Robin Sharma, and he said that the more we are getting connected electronically, the
Mhm.
lesser we are getting connected emotionally.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
And LinkedIn, you can connect with people, but I strongly believe the more you are in front of people,
yeah,
the more you are connected with people at a
yes,
human to human level,
yeah,
or even what I call as a heart to heart connection. That's
yes,
even better, I believe. That's where magic will happen. That's where you will be able to send that message to people that yes, I'm not just able to work for you, but I will be doing everything with a great passion.
yes. I will control. I will add value to what you have.
Yes, yes,
And,
absolutely.
and that just brings me to making a point about the search engine. Totally underutilized, underestimated.
Hmm.
I was looking for someone in a particular industry here in my area on the Gold Coast yesterday. I went into LinkedIn, I used a keyword, I looked for everybody on the Gold Coast, and I found one who maybe could help. So I sent a connection message with an explanation. Then I thought that's not a very good number, one for the whole Gold Coast. So I then expanded the search to the Greater Brisbane area, and I found a person who was just in the right industry, the right approach, and I liked what she had in her profile. And I sent her a personal message and said, "I'd love to connect with you. I see we have a number of connections in common." And I got a message back this morning saying, uh, happy to connect. No. So what are you working on? So immediately I've got my question answered. Who out there can I talk to about this particular project? Because of
Yes.
search. So you can make it very granular. You can search on occupation, on position. You can talk on location. I can. I've got a friend who has restaurants, and say he wants a chef from Chennai, and he just goes in there and he looks for chefs. Now, I don't know whether the chefs have profiles on LinkedIn, but just say there's someone in Chennai who just fits the bill, and he contacts them and says, "How'd you like to come and work in Australia?" That's how it works.
Absolutely.
So
It's
use the
well.
search engine. Use the search engine if you're looking for a position in in I don't know, the
Hmm.
transport industry. I'd go in and I'd be saying, if you're coming from India and you're going to be in Melbourne, you do a search on Melbourne, Greater Melbourne area, uh, transport, and you start to see all these names and you start to look at their profiles. And then this is what you do: you start to use the popular expression, you stalk them. You start following them. What are they talking about? What are they posting about? Who are their
Yes,
connections? Who's interacting with them? So by the time you get off the plane in Melbourne, and by the time you go into after they've had a briefing from you, and you go into the interview, you know more than any other applicant, unless they've been coached by you. Of course, they'll only be competing with them.
absolutely. You
Does that
made a
make sense?
great point. Yes, you made a great point earlier as well, that it's very important to be in touch with the current happenings wherever you are,
Yes,
because that can separate you from other people as well.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
So, according to you, now we are coming to the end of today's session.
Oh,
But I just before we part, um, what according to you are the strategies for building a great professional network to support the career, or some of the the blunders which many
yeah.
people make in terms of connecting.
The main blunder is sending a connection invitation without any explanation.
Mm.
You know, people send me connection invitations, and I send a message back with and I send a message back saying, "How did you find me?" And then I see that they've just gone and looked at my profile for the first time. So they just got a name and sent me an invitation. Um, I, if I'm going to ask somebody to uh, connect with me, I will look at their profile and just say, for argument's sake, they have um, uh, they have particular qualifications, and say somebody is a civil engineer by training, and they're now the CEO of a company, and you want to connect with them. And I always say aim up because people can only say no, you know, um, and sort of make friends in high places. And and I've done this. Young people have approached me, but they've got a good story to tell, and they don't have much experience, and I've been happy to support them, and I've connected with them because their courteous approach and their enthusiasm. And it was one of those young people who wrote me an extraordinarily wonderful recommendation a few years later. So if you're going to that person, you say, "Oh, civil engineer," and say you've got an uncle who's a civil engineer, and you just say, "I'd love to connect with you. My uncle is a civil engineer, and I have great admiration for him, and I'm wanting to build a career in that field." So that is a harder invitation to reject than uh, it's easier to say yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Does that make sense?
yes, yes, absolutely.
So
And
start to, yeah, yeah. And
I've seen I've
don't just send the
seen some.
invitation with no context. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, yes. Sorry, go
You,
on.
you,
Go on.
no, no, you go, you go.
No, I was just going to say that I've seen some people, who have worked, let's say, in their home country, in their
Mm,
own country. They have worked in some kind of business, and
mm,
now they are coming to Australia and they want to join the workforce. I have
mm.
seen that many a times they are way too reluctant to add that experience in their
Yeah,
resume and
yeah,
also in LinkedIn,
yeah,
because they believe they have worked in business and now they'll be working for somebody else. So
yeah,
how can somebody give them a business when they had their own business? That is the kind of hurdle that they have. And I'm like, you have no idea that you are sitting on a gold mine.
yeah, yeah,
Work in your
absolutely.
own business, and Australians will value your business,
Yeah,
your experience of working in your own business, because
mm.
that means that you very clearly have business mindset.
You have initiative. You have a work ethic. You are ambitious, and you're going to add value to their company.
100%.
And you might move on a couple of years later, but that's all right. They want your skills now. Yeah, that's great
Yes, and
advice, Rajit.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And Ash is saying so true. Before we part, I just wanted to
Mhm.
say something about Ash as well. But now that she's here anyway, she is one such client of ours,
Yes.
who is absolutely dedicated. She's devoted to making a career. So
Mm.
I mentored her, and the moment we created her new resume and the new LinkedIn profile, she was absolutely blown away that she was actually contacted by a recruiter.
Yep.
Up until then, nobody was contacting her.
No. No.
But the moment we created the new LinkedIn profile,
Yep.
she actually was contacted by by this recruiter who said that your LinkedIn profile looks absolutely fantastic, and I would
Yep.
love to have a chat with you.
Beautiful.
She has
Yeah.
never ever appeared for an interview in her life
Yeah.
in her field.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was the first interview.
Yes.
Uh, that too was for a job which she didn't have to apply for.
Yeah.
And then the recruiter reached out to her, and then he put her across to the employer where
Yeah.
she was interviewed, and
Yes.
she got that job,
Yeah.
and she was
Great story.
absolutely blown away.
Great story. It really
It's a,
proves the point.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her
Yes.
because she has done everything that she needs to do to get the job, and that's what it's all about. I mean, nothing is easy when it
No.
comes to earning the job that you love, and getting the money that you believe that you deserve to earn. So
And
before we say goodbye for today,
yeah,
is there any thought that you would like to add?
I just want to add. I want to add one footnote to all you people listening now, watching now, and who will watch the replay. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. Do what he says because he knows what works. And I say that, and you're not paying me for this, Rajiv. I say that out of the enormous respect I have for Rajiv and the fact that he's researched these matters. He knows what he's talking about, and he, as we say in cricket, he's got the runs on the board. And don't take lightly the advice that he gives because it's hard earned. So thank you for the honour of having me here. I appreciate it.
I'm absolutely obliged. All I can say to you is I salute you and namaste.
Namaste. And if you want me to come back again sometime, or the other people want me to come back, you only have to ask. Yeah.
Most certainly. Thank you so much for your time. It really
Thanks.
means a lot to me, Des. Thank
Well,
you
I've
so much.
enjoyed it. Always enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.